And what's the motherfucking deal? YouTube, this your boy Coach Donte back with another video, with another live stream again. Just got off the Michigan beating Ohio State. Jim Harbaugh finally gets the job done. And man, that running game was a handful for Ohio State. Now you're gonna see some teams move up like Cincinnati. But other than that, this is not what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about a preview of the Giants and Eagles. And what better way to introduce my guy, a guy that's been a great friend to me, a mentor, and he's the bad guy Sunday. He's on the bad team Sunday, and we gotta introduce Mac the Giant in the building. What's good, my brother?
What's going on, Coach? Thanks for having me, man.
But what's good, man? So I got my brother, my partner is coming up with me today. And I got a special enforcer coming up with me. We all gonna talk about Giants and Eagles preview. My boy who watched the game with me today, Big Three. What's going on, my boy?
What's going on, gentlemen? Thank you for having me on today.
What's
Yes,
happening,
sir.
bro?
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. So we got the special enforcer, the special guest referee who I had on yesterday. My boy, y'all already know. Prime time pride. What's going on, family?
What's
What's
good
up?
with
How
you?
everybody doing today, y'all? And by the way, before anyone says anything, I just want to get ahead of it. I am that guy who said that statement about that player.
Yeah.
I'm leaving it at that. So before anybody asks, I am that guy. I just want to throw that out there. By the way, to Monday, we got to talk about Ohio and Michigan because that was wild.
That was wild. That was a
Wild.
man. I'm telling you, man. That running game, man. That was a handful, man. That
That
was
was
a
a
hand.
dominating win.
That was a
Dominating.
handful for Ohio State, man. That was a handful, man. They couldn't stop it. So man. So first question for Mac the Giant. I mean, I know it's been a disappointing season for you guys. The firing of Jason Garrett. It was tough. I should expect that you knew that if Jason Garrett didn't get it done, they were going to fire him, and you knew Joe Judge. I mean, was a part of that vouching for the fire. So, what's going wrong in this season, and how you think the guys are going to respond after that firing this Sunday?
Well, so obviously it's a lot going wrong with this season. I think it's been, it's been partly coaching, but also I can't leave the quarterback blameless, man. He's in year 3 now, man. He early in the season he showed some signs like might have been heading in the right direction, and then it's like he's just gone right back again to all the same problems and same issues, man. Missing open receivers, with the crazy turnovers, man. Like that Monday night game this past week, man, it was an embarrassment, man. That interception he threw on that screen pass, that's not acceptable for an NFL level quarterback, man. That's not coaching. Jason Garrett didn't go out there and tell him to make that throw. You know what I mean? So where Jason Garrett, his offense, like I was just saying on Slay's stream a little earlier, it's prehistoric. You know what I mean? I feel like it's not 21st century NFL offense. But with that being said, the players still got to make plays, man. He's still also not out there coaching them to lose. So they got to execute at some point, and they got to be held accountable, man. So this move for Jason, getting rid of Jason Garrett, I think it was the right move. But I don't expect some kind of miracles all of a sudden to just happen if Daniel Jones won't progress himself as a player. So I think he just needs to really step his game up too. This is now his 7 games. This 7 games that we got left. That's his audition, man. This is it. This is do or die for Daniel Jones, and it starts with the Eagles this week, man. We got to figure it out, man. He's got to figure something out. He's got to stop making those boneheaded mistakes that just keep holding him back, man. Some of this stuff is you could blame on coaching, but some of it's definitely on him, man. Now, Jason Garrett excuse out the window. Now it's on him. Step up and see what he's going to do.
Yep. Vic, what you got on this situation, man? And do you feel like Daniel Jones is the guy for this Giants team losing moving forward? Do you feel like they need to get someone in the draft? What do you feel like they need to address?
Well, the Giants should be playing a lot better from what that's being indicated because apparently Jason Garrett was a lot of the problems. So they should be playing, a lot better. That guy's out the building. They got Freddie Kitchens in there. He's going to be calling, going to be with a better variety of play calling. As for Daniel Jones, though, like it was mentioned before, the guy's had his time. I said it yesterday. You've seen what you've seen out of Daniel Jones. There's nothing that's going to come about him. Like, there's nothing going to change. No matter who's calling the plays, there's nothing going to change. He is who he is. The Giants have a big decision to make. Do they want to stay with him for another year and hope that next season that draft crop will be a better draft crop than this year, or are we just done with Daniel Jones? Let's move on. Or you can use him as a bridge. For me, if I was a Giants fan or Giants GM, yeah, we're moving off of Daniel Jones. We've seen enough from him. You don't got to do it to the Giants fans and give up another year. You don't need to do that. If you got a good, talented receiving core, if you got the right guy in there, controlling this offense, I'm pretty sure they'll be a lot better. They got to work on their offensive line too. That's a big factor that, with Daniel Jones' regression, that offensive line. So they got some things to figure out on their end. If they can take care of their GM, their coach, their offensive line, and their quarterback, they'll be great.
Pride, what you got on this, my boy? Pride, what you got on this?
Yo, that almost went over my head. I even gonna hold you. That almost went over my head. I mean, look, I think they should keep Daniel Jones. And the only reason I'm saying that is because what other choice do you have? You know what I mean? Now, if you can get a Russell Wilson or an Aaron Rodgers, if you can get something like that, I mean, listen, forget releasing him, bro. Like, tear his ACL, make him unwanted. Like, you could throw him out the league. I don't care if you can get a guy like that. The only guy they could probably get, and we talked about this yesterday, is Russell Wilson. Like, he's basically the only one that legitimately can go there. And again, even then, they're going to have to clear house in terms of getting rid of the coach and the GM. So if they do that, maybe. But I said this before. No quarterback in this draft class is ready to be in the NFL. I don't care what anybody says. And I've said this yesterday, and I will continue to say it. Spencer Rattler got benched, and he's still projected to be a first-round pick. That in and of itself lets you know that this draft class, in terms of quarterback, is dog shit. Now, offensive line-wise and wide receiver-wise, there's plenty. And also defensively. This draft is perfect for every position besides quarterback. And if I'm the Giants, like you said, I use those draft picks. I boost up my O-line. I'll keep Daniel Jones for one more year. See what else I can do. And then next year, maybe there's another quarterback out there. Maybe there's something happens in terms of drama where somebody holds out. Deshaun Watson might come back because when he was being the Giants were kind of toying with the idea of bringing him in back when, the whole thing was supposed to get settled. The Giants were one of the teams who was in there. And it was like the three main teams were the Giants, the Dolphins, and the Panthers. Those are the three main teams. So, look, they might have to stick with Daniel Jones because, I mean, what's the alternative? I mean, what? Trading for Jimmy Garoppolo? I mean, if anything, that's a step to the side. If we're going to
Deshaun Watson would welcome going to New York.
No, that's what I'm saying.
That all depends on his situation, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. We got to figure out how all that stuff gets resolved. Because if it gets resolved, they pick them up. Handle. Go ahead and do the thing.
Hottest commodity.
Agree on this. That Deshaun Watson, when he's playing, is a top 3 quarterback. When he is playing. Now, obviously, he's not. So, we got to, be wary. And on top of that, he had a whole year off. That doesn't usually help everybody. That usually doesn't help everybody. It really doesn't, So that's going to have to be something you got to take into consideration. Great. He's a hell of a talent, but being out a year, sometimes it helps. Sometimes it doesn't, because it helps because, you're not taking those hits. But cardio-wise, it ain't really going to do you no favors. It's really not. You know what I mean? Like Lamar Jackson, he's one of the most athletic, if not the most athletic guy in the league. You sit him out for a year and you bring him back, he going to look real rusty. He going to look real rusty. So maybe it's the same thing with Deshaun Watson. But the way I'm looking at it, I think the Giants are better off playing it safe and keeping Daniel Jones unless another quarterback becomes available. But if you're going to draft a quarterback, you deserve to get fired. I said this yesterday. The only teams that should draft the quarterback are the teams that got the quarterback position set, and you have literally their rookie contract. You have 4 years to develop them. That's it. If you don't got the 4 years to develop them, you should not be looking at any quarterbacks whatsoever. Because when I look at this draft class, I see nothing but a whole bunch of Trey Lances. The names sound cute, but they're just not ready. If you put them one more year in college, maybe they will be. But I'm going to tell you this right now. If the Giants draft a quarterback, you got to burn that whole organization to the ground. You got to clean house to the point where you got to release players. Like, you're going to have to literally redesign, rebuild, and reclaim the entire name, because at this point, you guys are kind of stuck in purgatory for the next year until, you guys can figure something out.
Again, I think, speaking of that year that you're talking about that Deshaun Watson took off, that's why I thought about Le'Veon Bell. I looked at Le'Veon Bell that year from Pittsburgh that he took off the whole season and went to the Jets. That kind of hurted Le'Veon Bell. Mac, I mean, your offensive line and the receiver issues. Is it more of Daniel Jones not getting these receivers the ball, or is it just more of the offensive line? He just doesn't have the time. And is Joe Judge gonna last after this year? What's your thoughts on Joe Judge and the firing of him being involved with the firing Jason Garrett in this receiving core in this offensive line?
Well, I think Joe Judge's job is also going, like Daniel Jones, it's going to depend on these next 7 games, big time. I mean, because Joe Judge, like right now, we got to see this team take some kind of a step offensively. Not even necessarily winning all the games or whatever. We just got to take a step in the right direction offensively and look like a competent NFL offense. Because right now, I feel like we just don't, week in and week out. I feel like high schools run more complex offenses than we've been running. You know what I mean? So to me, it's going to depend a lot on that for Joe Judge, is us taking that right step. And as far as his offensive line, we need 4 new starters, straight up. We got Andrew Thomas. That's it. That is it. We need 4 new starters. That Nate Solder at right tackle experiment, I'm so over that, man. I don't even know what to do, man. I could go out there and block better than Nate Solder, I feel like. I don't know what that guy be doing out there on the field. All the rest of those guys, too, they're just all garbage, man. Daniel Jones has zero confidence in any of those guys to protect him. That could be a part of his problem. I don't want to keep giving him excuses, because at this point, you're still year 3 in his career, and I don't want to make excuses up for this guy, but that's a legitimate issue right now. That offensive line blocks nothing. They block no one. They can't even open holes up for Saquon Barkley to make a play. You know what I mean? So, and to me, that's telling right there, because of the kind of talent Saquon Barkley is. And if you can't even open up enough of a hole to get this guy going, man, like all he needs is a crack to be something to get up into. You know what I mean? And good things can happen. This offensive line can't produce that. They just get pushed back into him every time he gets the ball. It's this this whole team is a joke to me right now. As far as offensively, I think defensively we need a pass rush. That we haven't had that all season long. That's going to be key in this game. Also this week is we got to get home, man. Against Jalen Hurts, man. He's athletic, man. He's a freak, man. He'll beat you up, tear you up with his legs, man. You got to get home. You got to get him, man. You got to play disciplined football against him too. You can't let him just run around all crazy. Got to contain him, keep him in the pocket, and try to force him to beat you from the pocket, which he might be able to do that too. I don't know. He might be able to prove me wrong and be able to do that, get that done too. But I feel like that's your best, at least, game plan to devise against him, is keeping him in that pocket and forcing him to be a pocket passer. We'll see if we can pull that off on Sunday. I'm not totally convinced, because they haven't proven that they're able to. But I like the Giants, to me, on paper especially, we have one of the better secondaries in the league. We could. But with the lack of a pass rush, they guys can only cover for so damn long, man. And then we're just not getting the sacks. Our rookie second round draft pick and leads the team in sacks. That's come on, man. He doesn't even start. We gotta do better, man. We gotta do better as an organization. I feel like I've been a New York Giants fan for a long, long time, and I've seen some good years, bad years, but I've never seen anything quite like what we're going through right now. This whole made a 10-year rebuild, basically, and that's just, to me, that's not New York Giant football. We look like the Cleveland Browns, the Detroit Lions. We look like those kind of franchises, you know what I mean? And that's not what we are. We're a winning and a proud franchise, and right now we're just looking like a joke, man. And this year I had so many high expectations, thinking like I was bought in. I know I'm a fan, always a fan first. I bought into all the hype, what I thought was going to happen, and it's just been anything but, man. It's been a disappointing year, and it starts this week. If we have any semblance of any chance of salvaging this season in any way, it starts this week with this game, man. And the Eagles are obviously, as most of y'all guys, you all know, a tough out for the New York Giants. Obviously, no matter what, the Eagles are always a thorn in the Giants' side, regardless. So that doesn't make it an ideal matchup for the Giants, considering the importance of this game for the New York Giants this week. But like I said, we'll see what happens on Sunday, man.
Yeah. Vic, what you got on this, Vic?
I honestly believe that I don't think Jason Garrett's play call or anything he did was the reason why he got fired. I just feel like Joe Judge was, he was threatened. When you heard Daniel Jones doing good and that offense was doing decent, even though they weren't winning games, the offense doing good, it was Garrett who was getting the credit, not Judge. No one's ever been mentioning Judge at all this season. And there was a moment where, Jason Garrett's having a press conference and he's demanding that he's being called coach. Seems like there was a little power vacuum. And it was the first chance that they could, Judge got rid of Garrett and he did it. He moved it along. He didn't want anyone, threatening his position. But I think Judge's position is being threatened as it is by himself, his bad play calling, his bad decision making. Again, this is 3 years? The New York Giants have the same problem with their offensive line. They haven't done anything to repair it. Joe Judge hasn't done anything to put his players in the right position. A lot of the problem is people don't want to accept it, but it boils down to their coach. Yeah, a lot more goes down to the GM, but the fact of the matter is the coach's job is to do what he can with the players in front of him. He hasn't been able to do anything. So a lot goes on Joe Judge. We talk about Daniel Jones. We talk about this team and these players. They had a lot of injuries, but again, they haven't been playing the best. They've committed a lot of penalties. They've made a lot of mental errors. That's all on coaching. You know what I mean? If you're not going to put it on the GM, the one person you got to look at is the coach. Everything starts with him then. You know what I mean? Again, the GM got the players, whether or not they're good or not, he did his job. He got the players there. Now it's the coach's job to put them in the best position. I haven't seen it at all in his whole tenure. So, going forward, the Giants have a tough game coming up against us. It's a lot for them to handle. The defense got to worry about the run game. They got to worry about Jalen Hurts, most importantly. The defense, that offensive line, they have a lot to worry about because the Eagles can rotate. They can bring in fresh linemen. I don't know if the Giants will be able to keep up, But like I said yesterday, the one thing the Giants do great is teams play down to their level. I don't know why. I don't know how. But they're very efficient in doing that. So if the Eagles, find themselves playing down to the level, then that's where we're going to be in trouble. The Giants can capitalize on that. I don't want to sleep on the Giants. Not on any team. You shouldn't sleep. But especially a team like the Giants, because we thought that last year. What happened? Daniel Jones is running crazy, looking like Saquon Barkley out there. Not one, but in 2 games. You know what I mean? You can't sleep on them. They're having their issues. They look bad at times. But you never know what drives a player or a team themselves to get on the right track.
Yeah,
I know one.
Oh, go ahead.
Go
I was
ahead,
gonna say one thing
Mike.
just to piggyback off of him real quick with the Joe Judge and Joe Judge's defense on that with the whole Jason Garrett thing. Honestly, and I still believe this wholeheartedly that Jason Garrett was never Joe Judge's guy anyway. When Joe Judge is putting his staff together, Jason Garrett just seemed like an oddball completely out of that in that whole mix. I don't see why a young new head coach would want to bring in a former head coach to be his offensive coordinator, a guy that just lost his head coaching job. It just didn't make sense to me. I feel like Jason Garrett was always more of a John Mara hiring, more of a guy John Mara just wanted because of the history with the team. So I do feel like Jason Garrett was never really a Joe Judge guy in the first place, and he finally was able to find a way to get him out of here, out the door, man.
That power vacuum, I'm telling you, he felt threatened.
Yeah, I mean, look, 27-13, 30-29, 17-14, 27-21, 44-20, 38-11, 25-3, 20-17, 23-16, and 30-10. There's only 3 games that really been blown out. Only 3. So defensively, I mean, yeah, if they had the pass rush, it's fine. You know, in terms of defense, I think they're solid. I don't think, you know, defense really is nothing really worried about. Obviously, it's the offense that's really more of the issue. And for me, it's just more along the lines of if I watch, like, a lot of the points that they score, unfortunately, comes in garbage time. If we're gonna be honest, you know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of a problem because if they had gotten the offense to click, you know, in the third instead of the fourth, we're looking at a whole separate conversation. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm not a fan of Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett is dog shit. He's a waste of space. How he has a job, how he got that job, the world may never know. To all the people who defend him, you guys are idiots. He's dog shit at what he does. He was horrible being a coach. And he was the only reason he kept the job was because Jerry Jones looked at him as like a son. He got let go, and offense was his specialty, and he couldn't hack it in New York. So at this point, the only other franchise who will give him a chance at this point is Chicago. Chicago is so much of a shit show that you got reports coming out from the organization itself that Matt Nagy's going to be fired on Thanksgiving, and then the other half is talking about, that's not true. So that's what we're talking about right now. At this point, in terms of Joe Judge staying, I think he stays. I think he does. I'll be honest. I don't think he goes until Daniel Jones goes. I'll be honest with you. I think they go as a pair. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, and again, the rest. So obviously tomorrow they play Philly. Then they play the Dolphins. That's a winnable game. They play the Chargers. That's gonna be a loss. The Cowboys potentially could be a winnable game if they get Dallas to play down to their level, which they're pretty good at doing with Dallas. They play the Eagles again, another winnable game if they can get the Eagles to play down. Chicago, winnable game. Washington football team, winnable game. I'm looking at some games here that really the only game they have no chance whatsoever of winning is the Chargers. I'm talking about everyone has to go on the COVID list so then they don't have to play. Then everyone on the practice squad needs to get released. The only way they beat the Chargers is if literally nobody plays. That's the only way they're winning that. They're winning that game. Outside of that, they have a legitimate chance to win. So if Joe Judge is getting blown out by the Dolphins on some 48-3 stuff, he will be fired. And like I said, if he gets fired, guess who's going to be right behind him carrying his bags? Daniel Jones. Because I cannot see Daniel Jones being on the Giants without Joe Judge at this point. I genuinely can't see it. I would be very shocked if they go get a new head coach to work with Daniel Jones for a year. To me, I mean, Matt, obviously, Matt, you're the Giants dude, so maybe you can see it. But me personally, the way I'm looking at it, if Daniel Jones gets traded, Joe Judge is getting fired. And if Joe Judge gets fired, Daniel Jones getting released. That's just how I'm looking at it.
My thing with that situation is some people forget that Daniel Jones isn't necessarily a Joe Judge guy either. Joe Judge got the job and inherited Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was a Pat Shurmur guy, and Pat Shurmur, in a sense, didn't seem to have a better idea how to use Daniel Jones, hence his rookie season numbers, 24 touchdown passes, you know what I mean? Which he hasn't even come anywhere close to that last year or so far looking like this year, you know what I mean? So to me, that's one of the biggest issues there was when Joe Judge came in a year ago, he made a decision to go forward with Daniel Jones, but doesn't seem to know how to get the most out of him, I should say, I guess. I don't know if that was, like I said, more of a Jason Garrett thing. We're going to start to find out, hopefully, and see. But these next 7 games are critical for both of those guys, like you just said. I don't think there's no way, no matter what happens, I don't see Joe Judge getting fired before the season's out, before the season ends.
No.
But at the same time, like you said, it is critical how the Giants finish this season as far as Joe Judge's future and Daniel Jones' future, to be quite frank. But like you also said earlier, with the rookie quarterbacks coming out, to me, I don't see any of them being an upgrade from Daniel Jones right away either. As far as an immediate starter, I don't necessarily see that. Okay, I'm not.
I got Kenny Pickett being way better than Jones right now out of Pitt. I got him being better than Jones.
I just don't. I don't see it either, man. Not right now. Not as coming in and being an immediate starter.
Nah, not coming in now. I mean, maybe in a couple years, that's the conversation.
Yeah.
But right now,
The amount of bonehead plays Jones makes, and the amount of people he misses, yeah, that kid's a lot better.
I don't know, because the same kid you're talking about is the same kid who frankly cannot read a defense properly, even at a college level. Like, that's one of the biggest knocks on him. That even at a college level, which compared to the NFL runs much simpler defenses, he still can't pick up on that. And frankly, that's the knock on a lot of the kids too. A lot of these young kids they don't really know what they're doing. They're kind of just like
that spread offense.
And it's cute to do that in the beginning, but once you get figured out, now how you're looking. And like I said this before, this draft, if I'm a GM, I'm telling you right now, there's only 3 teams that'll reach for a quarterback here. The Lions, the Texans, and the Broncos.
Dolphins.
Lions and Texans is already self-explanatory because they're dog shit and they're desperate. They need to upgrade everywhere. And the Broncos, because John Elway has a history of drafting quarterbacks that never pan out.
Garbage. Osweiler. Who remembers Osweiler?
I doubt so.
Yo, you know what's crazy about Osweiler? And he got that crazy contract too from them.
From Houston. Yeah, that, and now he was the worst.
Oh, that was a Denver contract that they traded, didn't they?
Yeah, no,
that was the Denver contract that was traded.
Denver, he wanted more from Denver, and Denver just let him walk. Denver didn't want to give him the contract.
Oh, they were smart there.
That wasn't Bill O'Brien. See, Bill O'Brien did not want Brock Osweiler. Rick Smith reached and wanted Brock Osweiler. Bill O'Brien was not a big Brock Osweiler guy, so that's why he set him on the bench. Yeah,
and not blame Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, he didn't want Brock Osweiler.
Like 1 in 100, where like unfortunately Bill O'Brien was he was innocent, he was clear. We can't yell at him for this. That was the one. Then obviously,
and plus him and DeAndre Hopkins didn't really get along like that because he couldn't get the ball to DeAndre Hopkins. So again, that was the worst quarterback of all time in Houston Texans history. The Houston Texans, that was the worst quarterback of all time. And so Matt, do you feel like Patrick Graham in this defense? Do you feel a little bit improvement for the beginning of the season? How do you feel about Patrick Graham in this defense? And what do you see you guys draft pick if you land a good picks? I think y'all got 2 draft picks. What do you feel like the team needs of those 2 draft picks of y'all draft picks? What do you feel like y'all need to draft?
Well, we definitely need O-line help for sure, major. I wouldn't be mad at just using both of those picks on the 2 best offensive linemen available. But we also need edge rushers, man. Linebackers, outside linebackers, DNs. We need guys that can get after it, get to the quarterback, man, because that's also been a major problem with this football team is on defense. Defensively, we can't get after any quarterback, man. Tom Brady on Monday night, man. That one play only time he got dirty Monday night was the one play when he scrambled, made our defense look bad as hell. 44-year-old quarterback making juke moves on our defense, and then he slid, and he slid to the ground. That's the reason why he got dirty in that game at all. It wasn't from us putting a finger on him. And the fact that you can't get after a quarterback like Tom Brady when you know that's his Achilles heel, the one Achilles heel he has is dealing with pressure, and we still couldn't figure out a way to get after Tom Brady, man. We definitely need to address that, man. I like what Azeez Ojulari is bringing to us, but I'm not sure if he's a number like top edge rusher. You know what I mean? Like just that he's a good complementary piece, but I don't know if he'll ever be necessarily that guy that like Chase Young or or what's like what Micah Parsons is doing now in Dallas. You know, I'm not sure if he'll ever be like that kind of guy. You know what I mean? He'll always be a good complementary piece. If you have another good stud on opposite side of him, he'll always be able to make plays for you too. He's always be able to make those plays. But I'm not sure with him right now being our best edge rusher. I'm not sure how it's clear. Well, it's not working out for us. It's clearly not because, like I said, overall our defense is playing better than it did start the season out playing because they maybe the light bulb came on and understanding what Patrick Graham is preaching to them. But like I said, that the front seven is not doing the secondary any favors, man, because they're having them back there trying to cover for forever. And there was a prime example of that on Monday night. Tom Brady just took what the defense was giving him. And
Yep.
took the whole game.
I mean, again, I expected the Giants to be very good this year, be competitive in the NFC East in this division. I expected better out of the Giants. What did you think at the beginning of the year that Patrick Graham scheme was the right scheme for this team when he was playing that off coverage? Nobody thought it was, and you got a guy that can't. What's that guy? What's your that cornerback? I keep forgetting that dude name.
Bradbury,
You got Bradbury. Yeah, Bradbury. He was one of the best corners
horrible.
last year. He was one of the best corners last year in the game. Dory Jackson, he's an average corner. I seen him against Tennessee. I don't think he's very good. But Bradbury, you paying him, I believe, big money. Don't you think he needs to be a man corner? So how do you feel about Bradbury? And do you feel some improvement for the secondary in Logan Ryan being a leader at that back end? How do you feel about Bradbury?
I feel like Bradbury has been very disappointing this season overall, man. I can't even count the amount of interceptions he's dropped this season. Like balls coming right to him, man, and also he's been getting beaten coverage a lot more. It's been weird. I don't know. Like he had that big year a year ago. Like you said, he's one of the best cornerbacks last year, and this year I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about him, man. He's been probably my most disappointing New York Giant this season, man. As far as, well, at least defensively, he has been. I just don't get where his head is at. It's like he's never prepared. Probably his best game was actually against Kansas City when he was defending Travis Kelce most of the way. He was pretty much locked up on Travis Kelce most of the game. That was probably his best game of the season. But we didn't bring him in here to lock in on tight ends. You know what I mean? We brought him out here to take away number one receivers. And I'm not saying Kelce is pretty much number one receiver and for Kansas City, you know what I mean, other than Tyreek Hill, but at the same time, we didn't bring him in to lock him in on tight ends, and that seemed like to be the only thing he's bringing to the table this year is the ability to do that. And that's just not
Yep.
that's not good enough.
Yep. So Vic, what you got? Why you not so high on Bradbury? On Bradbury, I know what
Listen,
Dory Jackson. I know why I'm not high on Dory Jackson. Dory Jackson is a bad cornerback, man. I seen him in the AFC South. He's a bad cornerback, but yeah, go ahead, Vic.
when the Giants got him, he was basically just the best cornerback there was on the market. You know what I mean? They did their best. But even last year, when you see the problems that they had at the beginning of the season, one of the things that they corrected was giving Bradbury help. He had a lot of safety help on that second half of the season. That's why his play improved. This year, again, they took that help away. They went back to what they did at the beginning of last season. We seen how it started. The same thing again. That defense hasn't been able to catch up with whatever scheme their coach is giving them. Now, at the beginning of the season, I literally thought, the Giants defensive coordinator should have been in line for a head coaching job. He did a great job turning that team around. And even now, I would say if they move on from Joe Judge during the season, he should be the guy that takes over because I feel like you should give him a shot. He had a little regression this year with the defense, but again, Bradbury has a lot to do with that regression. You know what I mean? Like his lack of play hurts them tremendously. Like he was mentioning, a lot of interceptions drop. People are just burning him left and right. That there's no team that is scared of the Giants defense. There's no team that is scared of anyone individually on that back end. So again, a lot of it is Bradbury's fault, but I can't blame it on because, like you said, that front seven got to create pressure, and they haven't been doing it at all. That's only going to hinder everyone else. And as we spoke yesterday, the loss of Martinez, that's huge. That's a huge loss to that Giants defense.
It's been very huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like James Bradbury is getting a lot of shit. the thing is people are now respecting James Bradbury to the point where he's not getting as many opportunities to make those plays like that. You know what I mean? Like they've kind of now, obviously, him dropping the picks. Those you can't forgive him on that. You know what I mean? He's been having butterfingers this year. I don't know what's going. I don't know what's going on. I don't know because he's got solid hands. He does. He's got dependable hands where if he has the ball, that should be a pick. Even if you don't have dependable hands, some of the balls that he's dropping, it's almost as if he's the wide receiver and he just finished running the route and they're throwing it right to him and he's fumbling it. Like he just is just going through his fingers. Like I don't know what it is, but at the same time, I'm not going to come on him too hard because at the same time, he's not getting the many, it's sort of like a lesser degree of what's happening with Jalen Ramsey, right? Like if you just look at it, everyone just assumes Jalen Ramsey's on a down year, and it's like, no, they're just not really targeting him as much, right? And it's kind of the same thing with James Bradbury. Obviously, not to the same degree because Jalen Ramsey's just light years ahead of him. Don't get it twisted, but I feel like it's kind of the same thing where, like, if he would miss a ball, he normally wouldn't get too mad about it. Because he'll be like, oh, great, that should have been a pick. But he knows he's going to get that opportunity again. He knows more times than not they're going to try me again because a lot of people outside of the Giants fan base thought James Bradbury wasn't that guy. A lot of people thought he was nothing but he was a solid corner, but they never thought he would ever be a number one. You know what I mean? And I feel like now that they're kind of starting to go away from him a little bit, I'm talking about like the opposing quarterbacks, they're kind of not really throwing it inside, and they're kind of just like, we want to spread the ball out more. I feel like that has a little bit to do with it. But like I said, I'm not going, at the same time, I ain't going to let him off easy because, again, there's some picks that there's just no excuse whatsoever. Like literally in your hand. Literally in your hand, and all you have to do is grip it. That's all you have to do. He doesn't even have to move his hand. He just has to grip it, and he's fine. He ends up dropping it, and unfortunately, that now it's kind of making it look like he fell off a bit. But
Yeah.
I
Again,
think Bradbury is a great second guy, not a first guy. He's a second. He's a compliment. He's not the number one guy.
I won't keep saying that.
He would be solid. He would be solid in that role.
I think he'll still be number one, but at least you're not saying he's a scrub and he deserves to come off the bench.
No, I don't think he's a scrub. Like I said, I think him being the number one corner is a little too much for him. Let's be honest. It's just a little too much. He can make plays. He has pretty good instincts. That's why he gets his hands on the ball. But again, he's still getting burned. He's still making mistakes. Something a number one wouldn't do. You know what I mean? And it could be with time. It could be he just needs a little bit more time to season himself.
I mean, Mac, this comes back to you, but like Bradbury was in Carolina. In Carolina, you play more of a zone defensive scheme. So when you're playing zone, you have help over the top. You're not actually guarding the guy one-on-one. Don't you think that's probably what was why Bradbury is successful because he got someone over the top? Or do you think he's a man corner or he just more of a scheming corner? What you think on that, Matt?
I think it's definitely he does benefit from the safety help over the top, but yeah, he's definitely more. I say he is more of a scheme guy. He's not necessarily like you say. He's not like Jalen Ramsey. He's just gonna depend on the follow every team's number one all over the field. You know what I mean? He's not necessarily. He hasn't proven to be that guy. He does get beaten one-on-one a lot more than I would like to see him. But at this, I mean, the end of the day, he is still pretty much the best we got.
Yeah,
and we gotta figure out ways to make it work, man.
Yeah.
And I feel like they've been leaning in that direction. Like I said, with some of how they've been matching him up the last few games lately, a lot more. It's been a little better in games. He did give up a touchdown on Monday night, but that was Mike Evans boxed him out. I mean, big body receiver just boxed him out. It wasn't like it was horrible. It wasn't horrible coverage. It was just, he just didn't have. He had a major size disadvantage in that one. So, yeah, I think he just. I think we just got to go with what works, man. And right now it does help. He's definitely a lot better with the safety help over the top. I mean, that just makes him a better player, makes him more productive, man. So I think Patrick Graham's a good enough coach to figure that out and get an understanding of that. So we just need to see how things go going forward, man.
Yeah, I mean everybody that comes from Carolina, Carolina run a zone defensive scheme. Think about Josh Norman. His one good year over there, he goes to Washington. He's no more. He's not even good. Now Stephon Gilmore is a man corner. He's a man corner. Ramsey, you're literally not getting balls thrown over there because they're not throwing. That's why he's having a down year, literally, because you're not getting people to literally throw his way. They're literally petrified of Ramsey. So again, how do you see your Giants winning this game? Give me three keys for the Giants of winning this game on Sunday of upsetting the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, the first big thing that I preach, man, is we got to figure out a way to run the football with Saquon Barkley. Figure out ways to get that ball in his hands in open space, not try to keep handing it to him and force him to be some kind of power back, which he is not. You gotta get him get the ball to him in space and make him have him an ability to create, man. Also, Daniel Jones just has to play clean and smart football. I mean, straight up, that's a big key because at this point, I'm not going to mention the offensive line because the offensive line is what they are. It's bad, straight up bad. So it's not going to necessarily improve this week. All of a sudden, because we're playing against the Eagles, it just doesn't matter. The offensive line is bad. So Daniel Jones has to step up and just like I said, make smart decisions, man. Can't be missing open receivers. He can't be throwing stupid interceptions, and he got to hang on to that football because the pressure is going to be there because it's always there. So he has to hang on to that football. And defensively, man, like I said earlier, we got to find a way to contain Jalen Hurts and keep him in that pocket a little bit more, and not allow him to just run free and run wild. Because if he does that, it's going to be a long day, and it's not going to be any stopping the Eagles if we allow Jalen Hurts to get out that pocket and do the things he does best, man. So those are the absolute keys to a victory for the New York Giants, and that's the only way we have a chance to win this football game, as I see it, man.
So, Vic, what's the way that the Eagles can dominate this football game against the New York Football Giants?
For us, we can dominate. I'll just start on the defensive side. As we spoke before, the Giants' offensive line is very weak. If our front seven could create pressure, attack, and get at Jones, he doesn't like it. That's going to cause a lot of issues. Again, with our defensive line, we got to contain those running backs, whether it's Booker, whether it's Saquon Barkley. We need to contain both of them. We can't get them started off, especially with Booker, because he's the healthier of the two. We know what Saquon Barkley is. He kind of favors that ankle. We've seen he has some issues. I'm not trying to sleep on him, but let's be honest. Right now, Booker's the bigger threat. As for the wide receivers, they're going to have some issues because there's a lot of injuries with their wide receivers. So as long as our cornerbacks can contain, keep up with their responsibilities, we'll be fine. It's a cakewalk for us. Offensively, our offense line has to continue with the consistency. We got to be road graders, especially when we're running that ball. We don't have Howard this week, so Miles, the giant killer, Boston Scott, he got to get up to play. Kenny Gainwell, we're going to see some of him tomorrow, so he needs to step it up. He had some issues holding on to the ball. Got to eliminate that. Jalen Hurts, he's progressing the past 3 weeks. You got to keep going with that progression, my guy. You know what I mean? Stay in the pocket when it's clean. Get your ball down to who you need, make your reads, run the ball effectively. Have great decision making. And you got to have presence of mind because we understand that the Giants might not create pressure. But again, we've said it. Teams can play down to their level. And if they do, the Giants will be in our backfield. Jalen needs to have the presence of mind of, knowing that someone's going to be behind him, because that's one of his biggest issues. He never believes anyone can be behind him and trailing him. So he plays free. You got to keep on the progression that you've been going and go forward. And lastly, our coaching staff on both sides of the ball, they got to keep it up. If they don't, the Giants can sneak in and get a win.
That's a good point you just made about your coaching staff. Because one thing I was saying earlier in the year, I look at Miles Sanders as one of the top running backs in the NFL. That's how I feel about him personally. And earlier in the year when they weren't using him properly, I was like just confused at what the hell was going on with y'all team and why are you not turning around and handing this ball off to a guy that averages 5 yards a pop basically, like and then like the past month of the season, man, I definitely take my hats off to the Eagles, man, coaching staff, because you guys have been, I feel like, easily the best running football team in the NFL for the past month of the season, man. Like averaging like a couple hundred yards a game, man. And that's like I said, the Giants got any chance. They can't allow that to happen. They got to figure out a way to control that and stop that, man, and slow that down because, like you said, Boston Scott has been a New York Giant killer. That little dude, man.
The one thing that the Eagles do need, though, with the loss of Jordan Howard, that's a lot of physicality lost. If Jordan runs that ball, he's trying to hurt someone. We need, whether it's Miles at Boston, whoever it is, we need someone with that toughness. You know what I mean? We can't let the Giants defense know that we some simps back there. We gotta let them know that, you know, we came to play. We're coming to hit. If not, like I said, Giants can take full advantage of that. Let me shout out Philly Notion. Thank you, my guy, for coming through.
My boy Philly Notion, you the GOAT, man. What's good? All right, Pride, give me the keys for the Eagles and keys for the Giants. You're the special enforcer. You're the referee, so you get 2 keys for both teams. You get the keys to both teams. So let me know how the Giants can somehow upset the Eagles and the Eagles can beat the Giants.
Well, first and foremost, if you're the Giants, you're gonna have to make, and it's very difficult because Matt just said they got trouble getting to the quarterback. They got to either have Jalen Hurts be a pocket passer or a runner. You want to pick one because the problem with him is him being able to do both consistently. Like when he rolls out of the pocket, you don't know if he's gonna run or if he wants to throw it. And having that element to your game is very special. So it would be better for the Giants to just try to contain it. You don't gotta hit him. You don't gotta sack him. Simply contain him. And I know you're smiling like, yo, this dude is fucking stupid as shit. I know it's easier said than done because I agree with you in terms of getting the quarterback. The Giants, like, you know, they struggle with that. But you don't have to sack Jalen Hurts. You don't have to. You only need to make him play. If you can make him play like a Tom Brady, keep him in the pocket and make him have to make perfect throws every single play, you guys have a chance. Because I like Jalen Hurts. I really do. But in terms of being a sole pocket passer, he's got a ways to go in order to be that. He's got a long ways to go. So your guys are gonna have to, in essence, either that or just let him run roughshod, let him run all over the place, and just hold down the receivers. It's gonna have to be one or the other. Now I know, yo, coach, Mac is looking at me. He's like, yo, get this kid the fuck out of here. He's dumb as shit. I know it's easier said than done. I know that. But the thing is, with him, y'all gonna have to pick y'all poison. And you're going to have to live with whatever y'all pick, which kind of goes into the second thing, consistency. However y'all want to run the game, for instance, my biggest problem with Joe Judge and at the time Jason Garrett, when they're supposed to call plays aggressively, they become tentative. And then when they're supposed to be tentative, they all of a sudden want to be aggressive.
Facts.
That, to me, showed me 2 things. 1, you're dumb as shit. And 2, somehow you guys just don't learn your lesson. You guys are idiots and you're insane because for some unknown reason they're not learning from it. How have you worked under Bill Belichick and Jason Garrett has had time in the league?
Well, special teamers don't really get to be around Bill as much. You know what I mean? Special teams kind of offshoot.
I mean, yeah, he kind of.
He didn't get the full Belichick experience.
Yeah, he got a little bit. You know what I mean?
He got it by osmosis.
Yeah, he got everybody up, and then Joe Judge would be like, "Hey, how you doing, sir?" He goes, "So, who the fuck is he? What's his man? Is this?"
Joe got to get a lot of coffees. That's how he got to get in his ear in there.
So in terms of the Giants, I'll be honest. If I'm the Giants, if I'm running that team, I'm going hard. I'm talking about I'm utilizing play action, and I do not run. And another thing, do not run the same play 3 times in a row, please.
Yeah, that too.
That's that Doug Peterson, Chip Kelly theory. When you just keep on running the plays and thinking a different situation will happen.
Sometimes when I'm watching them, sometimes I swear to God I'm playing Madden and my triangle button got stuck because they're doing the same shit over and over. And I'm like, all right, look, bro, at some point you do understand that they're going to catch on to this. They're going to see Evan Ingram doing a hook route and they're gonna see that Cody kind of doing the same thing. They're going to notice it. So eventually they're just going to be like, oh, okay, Yanks, like gimmies. Like, you know what I mean? And offensively, like I said, run through Saquon, utilize the play action. The Eagles, first and foremost, do not play down to the Giants level. Let's call it what it is. The Giants have this thing where people they kind of underestimate them so much that they end up kind of shooting themselves in the foot. And that's when the Giants, listen, I tell people this. The Giants are somehow victims that become predators. They're like, I don't know if you guys ever saw the video. It's like the old guy and he goes, oh, call an ambulance. And then the guy goes up, then he pulls out a gun and goes, not for me. That's the Giants. Like the Giants make me think that like you're victims and they down bad. And then you just all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, let's play with our food. And then all of a sudden, Daniel Jones wants to be the second coming of Joe Montana. Saquon Barkley is all of a sudden the greatest running back to ever touch God's green earth. And they're like running to the races. Like, that's number one. And number two, offensively, play downhill. Rush. And when I say rush, I don't mean running the ball. I'm talking about play like Chip Kelly. Back when he kind of was just like, oh, huddles, what is that? Like, that's how you like push the tempo, be fast, make them to the point where the Giants have to think 3 plays ahead in order to make their substitution. Because once you start doing that and they start rushing, guess what happens? That's when discipline comes in. Who's going to be the more disciplined team? And when you're going at breakneck speed, it's hard to be disciplined. It is very hard unless you have kind of, that leader that kind of be like, hey, yo, you know what they're doing. Relax, breathe. Papa Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. is here. I'll steer the ship or whatever. You know what I mean? And another thing, defensively, whatever y'all do, because the Giants are going to get big plays. It's just the way their offense is, they're going to get big plays. Defensively, do not let the big plays get in your head. If they get a big play, be like, you know what? It is what it is. Because the thing is about Daniel Jones, and I love him, but he got a little bit of Brett Favre in him. He going to make his plays, but he going to give you an opportunity. He going to give the defense an opportunity to make a play as well. He got that in him where, like, he'll throw a cannon and he'll hit a beautiful 40-yard dot. And guess what he wants to do the next play? He want to hit another 40-yard dot.
Yep.
So when you're the Eagles defense, if you give up a big play, guess what? Don't fret, because more than likely he's going to want to repeat it. So that's kind of when you guys kind of got to start cheating a little bit, because you know who he's going to want to target downhill. You know what I mean? It's either going to be Galladay or it's going to be the rookie Tony.
Tony, but they're out.
Right? You know what I mean? Like those.
I think Galladay might play. That's it.
Galladay is playing.
That's the only one that's playing. Everyone else out.
So
yeah.
Evan Ingram?
Sterling, Tony, they're all out. They're all out.
So you know who's going to be his number 1, 2, and 3 receiver. And so if he gets a play, you'll be able to cheat a little bit. You know what I mean? I have said this, and I'm not fronting here. I do think the Eagles are going to win. I do not think it's going to be the blowout that everybody expects. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, because I'm going to tell you right now, I genuinely believe that it's going to be a dirty game. I'll be honest. I genuinely believe it's going to be a dirty, scrappy game.
Yeah. So you got a question for the GOAT Philly Notion right here. Y'all, what's it? Go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna keep it all the way 100, all the way real, man. Like I'm not a Homer fan. I'm not one. I keep it all the way 100. Jalen Hurts is absolutely better than Daniel Jones, and I will say only from the aspect of overall, he's overall better. Does Daniel Jones do a couple of things better than Jalen Hurts? He absolutely does. I think Daniel Jones is a better pure passer of the football than Jalen Hurts. With that being said, Jalen Hurts does just about everything else better. I mean, he's more instinctive. He just has better pocket presence. He just has more playmaking ability than Daniel Jones overall. So with that being said, all off season before this season had started, I was hard on Jalen. I really was. I was really critical of Jalen Hurts. I really was. But he's proven to be a lot better than I thought he would have been at the position, and I feel like he got a couple things to still clean up, but he's on his way to potentially being something special in this league, man. So I will take my hat off. I will acknowledge that. I'm not going to sit here and just be some homer fan and say Daniel Jones is better because he's not. He's just not proven to be better. You know what I mean? Jalen Hurts is getting the job done. The Eagles are winning football games, and Jalen Hurts is a big reason for that. So I gotta keep it 100, keep it real, man. And I will acknowledge that Jalen Hurts is better than Daniel Jones, and I would rather have Jalen Hurts than Daniel Jones.
Yep.
That's so pleasing to the ear.
Maybe Big Play Slay can hear that. Maybe he can hear that answer. Big, we already know your answer. Like I say, really, when someone asked me that question, I didn't really give one of them an upper hand because, again, it was times this year, the beginning of this year, Daniel Jones was playing better than Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts struggled. Now it's a 180. Jalen Hurts is clearly better. No, it's not even a question now that he's clearly the better quarterback. Like Matt said, I 1,000,000% agree with him. Jalen Hurts still has to work on a little pass, being a pure passer, but he can do it. He can. He's gonna be able to do it. It's gonna take work. It's gonna take a lot more work. And Daniel Jones is a better pure passer, but Jalen Hurts, he has everything. He can throw on the move. He can throw off his back foot. He can throw going to the left side. You've seen him throwing to Dallas Goedert in his foot where he's more dangerous at. He's a big quarterback, man. When you go to a game and you look up, when I used to look up at him close in person, that guy's a big quarterback. That man is a load to really tackle. So again, I agree with Mac, man. Mac, 1,000% agree with you. And ain't too many fans that's gonna come out and say, "Hey, Jalen Hurts, this guy's better than this guy." But hey, he's seeing the play. He's seeing the play of this guy, Jalen Hurts, coming and being emerging. So again, Prod, I'm gonna switch that question over to you, right there.
I'll be honest. I acknowledge Jalen Hurts is better since the beginning. I've been one of the few people who the instant that as soon as Jalen Hurts came in the league, I thought the only problem he had was that he was with the Eagles. Because the Eagles at the time had, and I don't mean this as like a jab to the organization, but at the time they had Carson Wentz, and at the time when they got him, I was like, why would you do this for a kid who's, he's ready to kind of be plugged in and get experience. You have Carson Wentz, who y'all just paid up a zillion dollars to keep him. That kind of was like, my whole thing. And I always said, look, when they drafted him, I said, I'm telling you right now, when they drafted him, it makes it that much easier to move on from Carson Wentz. It makes it so much easier. The only thing they have to do is put faith in this kid. And you drafted him, so that shouldn't be a problem. Yet somehow, this is the first year that the organization has truly put all the faith in Jalen Hurts and said, all right, kid, you're going to be our guy. And what has he been doing? He's been doing whatever it is he needed to do to get the win. In terms of throwing the ball, he looks better. Reading defenses, he looks better. When the play breaks down, he looks better. When he makes mistakes, he bounces back better. Not only does he learn from it better, but he also understands, look, I know immediately right here, right now, I throw a pick. The next outing, I know why I threw that pick. I know why it was a bad play. And I know if I'm in that same situation, I either A, put the ball in a different place in terms of I'm throwing to the same guy, put it where only he can catch it, or B, I'm gonna go to another guy. With all that stuff, I love Jalen Hurts. That is my guy. I'm like all the hatred he's gotten, I don't understand it. Because like I said this yesterday, the reasons people kill Jalen Hurts and say he's overrated and say he's a bad quarterback is the same qualities everybody is hyping up and in love and enamored with Lamar Jackson. But I'll be honest with you, in terms of throwing the ball, I like Jalen Hurts better.
Yep.
And to me, it's not even close. I'm gonna keep it a
See,
buck.
that's one thing
Lamar
that
Jackson is a horrible passer. I've been saying it all year and last year too. Horrible at passing. That's why he
I'm.
sticks to his tight ends.
That's what I'm
Short
saying.
intermediate
When
passes.
when we had the discussion on the morning show, Pride, when he tried to put Lamar Jackson over Justin Herbert, but I said Lamar Jackson is an athlete. He's not really.
Yes,
Well, like you can put him at running back, he'll be able to play it. You probably can put him at receiver, he can play it. He's an athlete type. But far as
He's Mike
being on
Vick in
the,
Atlanta. He's
it's,
Mike
it's
Vick in
basically
Atlanta.
nope. I don't like that comparison because Mike Vick can throw. You know who
He
he is?
could throw, but Mike Vick couldn't read defenses. Mike Vick couldn't throw people open, just like Jackson. He can't do that either.
This is where people get mad at me. This is where a lot of people start throwing stuff at me, and this is why I'm glad I'm able to do this from the safety of my own home through a computer. Because now when you throw stuff, it just bounces off your own screen.
Yeah, because those
I've been
Kobe comments,
saying,
woo!
I've been saying this. You don't like when I say this. Lamar Jackson is a younger Taysom Hill, a guy who
Ooh.
relies on his athleticism,
mm,
and hell, he's great at it. You make him play pocket quarterback, all of a sudden football is no longer fun.
No argument for me.
I've been
yep, I
saying
agree.
that, and people get mad at me. The difference between Taysom Hill and Lamar Jackson is Taysom Hill is I think he's 30.
Yeah,
He's like in
he's
his
young. He's older. Yeah.
and this is what I'm saying. When it comes to Taysom Hill, he is who he is. Lamar Jackson can grow and become a decent passer. Because the thing is with how athletic he is, he only needs to be a decent passer. He doesn't have to be, a Tom Brady from the pocket or a Drew Brees. He doesn't have to be anything like that. And right now, he only needs to be decent. But
Yep.
until we get to that point, and I've said this, and people get mad, but I'm a quadruple down. He's just a younger Taysom Hill, a
Yep.
guy who is super athletic, and you can put him anywhere. But when you put him at quarterback, all of a sudden, and you try to make him a pocket passer, all of a sudden football's no longer fun.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but now, Jalen
Yeah.
Hurts, he's that dude.
Well,
Yeah.
if I can
So
say one thing about Daniel Jones, because I don't want to be like bashing on him, I'll say this. I think Jones can read defenses better than Hurts. I think he can go through his progressions better than Hurts. I think he can look backfield of defenders off way better. Hurts can't. Let's be honest. He can't look off a defender. He doesn't know how to do that. Jones has those things going for him. And let's be honest, Jones is a very smart quarterback. That's why he got as far as he did, especially in his rookie season. He got a lot of preparation out of Duke, even though, we clown that school. But that coaching staff was great. They got him in a position, to come into the NFL and be what he is. To me, and I don't put him on, I like this. I think Daniel Jones is the greatest backup quarterback in the NFL. The greatest. He could be put in a position if you need him to, but to have a whole season with him, I don't think he's that guy. But again, I think he does some things better than Jalen Hurts. Not many. He doesn't do much, but he has some qualities that I think are better than Hurts. Hurts can get there, but right now he's nowhere near it.
I think
yep.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think Daniel Jones is a backup. I think he's again, maybe it's just me, but I think he's capable of being a starter. I look at him the way I kind of look like a Baker Mayfield, where if you need him to carry you for a game or two, he got it, but he's not going to carry your franchise for an entire season. Like he's kind of needs to be in the perfect storm where you have a good legit number one, you have a good line. Like you kind of need some good everywhere, kind of like a jack of all trades team, in order for him to be successful. So I'm not gonna I ain't gonna say he a backup because that you disrespecting. Oh yeah,
Well, no.
no
Well, I'll say it like this. I will say Daniel Jones is a younger version of Ryan Fitzpatrick. A very smart quarterback because of him being so smart, that gets him by.
You know what?
Yep.
I like that. I like
Yep.
that one. I like that
And
one.
one thing I say about Hurts, one more thing to add in for Hurts too, is it's another intangible that people don't account for is the fact that he's a winner. You know what I mean? You can't account for that winning
Yeah.
mentality. You know what I mean? He's come from winners. I mean, we know about the story of Alabama, what happened in Alabama, but it was still a winning program while he was playing in it, and then he went to Oklahoma, and it just he's still a winner, man. He just all he knows is winning. So that he has that going for him as well, man. So I get it. I also give Jalen Hurts props for that because he's kind of brought that mentality to the NFL with the Eagles, who a lot of people thought were going to be a really, really bad football team this year. And I'm not obviously still not super great, but they're a lot better than people thought they were going to be. So Jalen Hurts is, like I said, a big reason for that, man.
I
Yeah,
think one of the reasons they made the move to get him compared to Wentz, as you were mentioning, why did they have him
yeah,
when they needed Wentz?
yeah.
Hurts is a mentally strong kid. Wentz
Oh yeah,
wasn't. They knew that,
Look,
and they
I'm
knew
gonna tell you
that.
this right now. Going through what he went through in college, and then almost having that same thing replicate in the pros, and not complain, and show up with his shovel and pail, handle his business, get the starting job, and then run with it, and not be like, "Oh, you see, y'all should have went with me." Not being petty, not like that. Jalen Hurts is a better man than me. I'll tell you that right now. I don't
Yeah.
feel petty.
Listen,
I don't
it's
feel petty.
comparable to say
yeah,
like he was left at the altar and came back next year with a dime piece to marry.
Look at
You
that.
know what I
But
mean?
here's
Like
the thing.
he's on the come up. A lot of people might say that he got hurt. I even said it too. When he lost to Tua, I think that took a lot away from him because you know what I mean. Like in the most the hardest position he could be in his college career, he was removed from that, and
Yes.
someone else had to finish the job for him. So I thought for him, that's pretty bad. That looks bad on him, but his mental makeup didn't let that stop him, and that's what's great about that kid.
Yep.
yeah.
100%.
So Mac, a couple more questions before we wrap it up. So your receiving core, you get Galladay. Uh, I think he was the best receiver on the market at that time. You have Slayton, that's dropped. If he would have made that catch against Washington, that game would have been over. That game would have been
Please
pure
don't
over.
remind me of
And
that.
that catch, I don't. Some people say that was an overthrown, but you can see him clearly get his hands on the ball, and you can
Very,
see
very catchable
immediately
football.
reaction of him staying down on the ground. That's how you know he should have caught the football. So, and then you got Kadarius Tony. Everybody loves him in New York. Give me give me something on the New York Giants receiving core. How do you feel about Evan Ingram? How do you feel about him this year? Do you feel like they could have performed better? Do you feel like Daniel Jones hasn't gotten them the ball enough? Is it play calling? Is it the route tree? How do you feel about that receiving core?
I feel like they need to learn how to stay healthy. That's for one damn thing, because I feel like every single one of them have been injured at some point in time this season. And but as far as the play calling, that's why so many unknowns coming into this game now with Jason Garrett being fired, because some of these things are things I'm not sure. Like, why are we not taking deep shots at Kenny Galladay when we bring him in? He's one of the best 50-50 guys in the NFL. We haven't taken a deep shot to Kenny Galladay at all once this season. Daniel Jones is one of the better deep throw quarterbacks in the league. Like, that's what he literally does best. Why are we not finding ways to be able to utilize that a little bit more, utilize that skill set a little bit more? So it's as far as the receivers go, Evan Ingram, man, he's like a hybrid kind of tight end. You know what I mean? He's not like that the big traditional tight end that's going to stay in and block for you. He's not going to do all that stuff. But when you get him out in space, he has the ability to make plays as well. And you split him out like a receiver, you know what I mean? He has the ability to make plays as long as he can catch the damn football, which he actually has been doing a little better this year. But his opportunities have also been a lot more limited, it seems like. And I'm not sure if that's also a coaching thing, a scheme thing. It's hard to tell. It's going to be hard to tell until you see Freddie Kitchens sink his really take control of this offense and see what kind of things he's going to be drawing up and what they're going to be doing. Because Freddie Kitchens had to call one game last year because Jason Garrett had COVID.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, Daniel Jones was also out that game, so he had Colt McCoy at quarterback. But he was calling a lot more like passes downfield throws, things of that nature. So it's going to be seeing, like my man Mitch saying that Tony is doubtful. He's listed as doubtful. He listed as doubtful. You might as well just put out next to your name. I don't know why.
Yeah, right.
Why they put doubtful like that. He's not playing. So I'm really curious the way they were going to have what kind of way Freddie Kitchens could use Kadarius Toney, because he's proven with the ball in his hand he can make plays, man. You just got to get the ball in his hands in good situations, like 3 and 4 yard out routes. That's not setting Kadarius Toney up for success. and Kenny Galladay, all these little slant routes he's running. That's not the best what he brings. That's not like what he does best, man. Like get him downfield, competing for the football, high pointing 50-50 catches, man. We're not taking any of it. We got to start opening this offense all the way. Like I said earlier, I wasn't exaggerating when I said high schools run more complex offenses than the New York Giants run. That wasn't an exaggeration. That's how I really genuinely feel. You know what I mean? It's a joke to what we've been doing, and we're so stuck in the past. Jason Garrett's offense needs a power running back, needs like a Derrick Henry type of running back. You know what I mean? That's how Jason Garrett's offense works.
He runs that North Turner offense.
Yeah, we don't have that. We got Saquon Barkley, who could be a playmaker. You just got to know how to use him the right way, man. And with these receivers, Darius Slayton, he's another deep threat, but he's got to also prove he can hang on to the football. That's where I think his opportunities have been a little more limited, because I think Daniel Jones has completely lost confidence in that guy making the big plays downfield, man, for him anymore. And like I say, we got John Ross, who also he's had issues with his hands throughout his career, but this year with us, his hands have looked a little more sure with his limited opportunities. He's been pretty much our only deep ball threat this season so far at this point. You know what I mean?
And that's the sad part about it is like a limited John Ross in terms of throwing the deep ball is your best chance. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of, and again, John Ross, look, no disrespect to him, but if you're relying on John Ross for the deep ball, you might as well start throwing curls and slants for the rest of your career. If we're gonna keep it stacked.
Hey, and another receiver I did leave out that I really like coming out of my college, Texas. I think you know who I'm talking about, Mac. Colin Johnson. How do you feel about him? Do you feel like he should get more opportunities? He hasn't gotten enough. I like Colin Johnson. I actually like Colin Johnson.
I feel like he should definitely be in our red zone package a lot more when we get down in the red zone, because I mean he's 6'8". He's a big guy.
I mean, picture this, Funk. He's 6'8" with bounce, and he talking about, hey, yo, we gonna give you Evan Ingram routes. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't understand. That's what I mean. Like, I don't understand like the play designs of the route trees the routes they're running. That's why I want to see. I want to see what's going on with the offense, the new look that the offense is going to have. I mean, it's not going to be a completely new offense, but we're just going to hopefully, you know what I mean, just turn this thing around a little bit, man. This offense has just been stagnant, man, all season. It's not fun to watch. It's not effective. It's not definitely no consistency with it. And I know a lot of that has to do with the offensive line and their lack of execution and being able to block, but at the same time, we're not the only team with a bad offensive line either. So other teams find ways around it. I mean, find ways around it and still make it work. And this coaching staff has to do that. Or that's why I've been losing faith in this coaching staff, because I look at other teams where you go into for instance, Green Bay game. We know Aaron Rodgers is looking to get the ball to Devontae Adams. Absolutely. But can anybody stop it? Hell no. They still find ways to get that man the football. Kansas City, the same thing. Kelsey and Tyreek Hill. Everybody knows that's who they want to get the ball to. But they still figure out ways. Not that defenses aren't coming in there with game plans to try to stop those guys. They're just figuring out ways to get those guys involved and keep them involved in football games. New York Giants do a very poor job of that. We don't do a good enough job of getting our weapons involved, the weapons that we do have. I know we've had a lot of injuries this season, but so does every other team, man. Injuries is not an excuse for me, because this is the NFL, man. The next guy got to step up and do their job, man. That's what it's all about, man. And we're just doing a very poor job of that. And we got to figure out a way to get this thing clicking, man, or major changes need to be made.
The Giants messed up too by not, utilizing Kyle Rudolph. Great blocker, great on red zone threat. They don't hardly use him either. Like, they're stuck on Ingram for whatever reason, I don't know. Whoever Ingram's manager and his PR firm, they do their job. Because last season, when you just look at fantasy alone, he was touted as a top 10 get every single week in, week out, and hasn't produced anything. This year, still top 20, has not done anything. The kid gets a lot of talk about him, but he hasn't been able to produce at all. In my eyes, I see him as a straight bust. They should have moved on from him 2 seasons ago. They should move on from him now. Utilize Rudolph. Utilize your other tight end. 6'8", again. How do you not use him in the red zone? Just to throw the ball up. One play, just to see what you can get out of the kid. I don't
He's only
understand
got
what the thought
one
process.
touchdown. One
I think
touchdown on
Freddie
the year.
Kitchens. I think Freddie Kitchens will utilize him more. I think they're going to utilize Rudolph more. They're like those tight ends are going to be used a lot more going forward. And they would only help out with the running game too. Again, like I said, Rudolph is a great run blocker. There's no reason why you shouldn't see those fellas on the field.
And
Agreed.
one more question I got to ask you before we wrap it up. I may have to do another game later today. So again, I was hearing about this from Big Pat, and I know you agree, and I know most of the Giants fans agree. Tomlinson, is he missed? Is Tomlinson missed on that defensive line?
He is missed far more than I could imagine, man. Far more than I could imagine. Honestly, I did not. I did not honestly believe that his impact was going to be that loss of him was going to have this kind of impact. But we got that dude Danny Shelton in there, man. That dude is big for no reason, man. He is absolutely just big for no reason. Every play he's getting pancaked and pushed back, and I just don't get it. How you can be whatever his height he is, how big he's like damn near 400 pounds. How you just getting pushed around like that, man? I don't get it. Dalvin Thomason, that dude was the anchor on our defense, man. He was an anchor, man. He was out there, and he was a big help for Leonard Williams too, for what it's worth. That's hurting Leonard Williams' game right now too, because now people are being able to just take out our outside linebackers one on one, and they can roll that extra blocking, the double teams, triple teams towards Leonard Williams. And people think Leonard Williams is having a bad year. It's not that he's having a bad year. He's just getting so much extra attention because he's the only playmaker on that up front on the defense that any team has any concern about stopping for the New York Giants right now. So it's Dalvin Thomason is a huge loss. I did a video in the off season and I was talking about how I was upset about Dalvin Thomason leaving, but at the same time, I was okay with it because I didn't think he was worth paying the extra money to. We had other needs, I thought, but clearly we should have paid Dalvin Thompson and kept his ass here because right about now this defense is missing him. I don't know if it's even just a leadership thing also, but on the field we're missing him on the field, but maybe even in the locker room too, man. Just the mentality. Sometimes he was a captain, so he was captain for a reason. So maybe he did things in the locker room too to help keep the spirits up of this team, man. And right now we're missing that big time, man.
They might not even gotten in those fights in training camp if he was there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, again, a good veteran person is always a great person to have in your locker room, man. And the final verdict for you on Joe Judge this year, if you opposing, if you don't win another game, I know y'all guys are gonna win a game. You should beat Miami. Uh, you should beat the Bears. You should beat the Bears. The Bears are just god awful. They're just god awful. Uh, so final verdict on Joe Judge. You see him here next year. Do you see him here next year? Do you feel like Gettleman is gonna go get fired? Do you feel like you guys need to blow this whole thing up and start from scratch? How do you feel about that? If you have from here on out, you don't see no improvements in the offense. You don't see no improvements at all. What do you see coming into this offseason? Do you feel like you guys need to blow everything up and this coaching staff up?
Uh, I think it has to be absolute disaster to blow it up completely. I think we'd have to go out there pretty much and lose all the rest of these football games, or just go out there and look as bad as we looked on Monday night, for instance, against Tampa Bay. You know what I mean? Because that's another thing about the New York Giants, and as far as leagues, as long as I've been a fan, we're not that one organization that just go there and feel like we're going to start over with new coaches every other year. We're not. We don't have a history of that, and I feel like we've already been through 3 coaches now in the last 5 years. That's already a lot for a New York Football Giants, for the New York Giants. So I feel like Joe Judge has that going for him to help keep him here at least for another year. Dave Gettleman, on the other hand, there's already rumors and chirps about him already being out pretty much out the door when the season's over. And I think might be time for him to step down because whatever's going on, he has not really put together the best of drafts since he's been here. He came in and said he was going to address the O-line. clearly he has failed. He has failed when it comes to that. So I think it's definitely. I think it's time to probably move on from Dave Gettleman and get somebody else in there in that position. I think John Mara, the owner, needs to fall back and just sign the paychecks and don't meddle around too much with the decisions being made. You hire a GM, you hire coaches, let them do their job. You know what I mean? And you fall back and, like I said, just sign the paychecks, man. I'm obviously he's going to have some degree of input. He's the owner of the team, but at the same time, let your employees work, man. And I think Joe Judge likely will get another year. I can't say the same for Dave Gettleman, though. I think the only way Joe Judge is fired is if it's an absolute shit show the rest of this season, like total disaster, total meltdown is the only way I see Joe Judge losing his job.
Yup. So, and all that, fellas, we end it right here, man. Shout out to my boy, the one of my closest friends, a mentor, Mac the Giant, for coming on. So I'm gonna end it right here. Pride score prediction for tomorrow. Eagles Giants score prediction. What you got?
28 to 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vic, what's your score prediction for tomorrow?
38-17 Eagles.
No.
Oh yeah, I got Eagles winning. My bad.
All right.
Well,
Mac.
I'm on the other side of the fence there, fellas. Only for
As you should be. As you should.
That's what we are for this W. That's what we are for this W, man. I'm gonna give us the benefit of the doubt and credit and think we're gonna actually come out and be ready to play this football game. And I think we're gonna get y'all on a close one, 27-23, New York Giants, man. That's how I feel.
All right, man. I got you already know I gotta go with Philadelphia, man. We've been hot, man. We've been hot. Jalen Hurts starting to come into his own. That running game starting to be too much. Nick Sirianni finally figured everything out on the offensive side of the goddamn football. And we finally found the goddamn identity in running the football. So again, I got the Giants in a close 27-20 winning this football game tomorrow. So that's the end of the stream, everybody, man. Shout out to my boy Big 3, man, my boy Pride, my special enforcer, my boy Mac the Giant, man. If you ever hit me up, man, you want to collab with me and get me on your show on the next go round, I will come on, man. It's not all about coming on my show. I always go on anybody's show. I go on Pride show all the time, so I got no problem traveling. I got no problem traveling to the west, south, east. I got no problem. So appreciate you guys coming up here. Shout out to the Spotlight Sports Network, All Sports, All Plays. My boy Mac the Giant. Make sure y'all go give him a sub. I'm gonna drop his link after in the description box, man, so y'all can go get him. He's a great Giants content creator, man. Shout out to you for coming on the chat, and good luck to y'all guys tomorrow, man. We
Thanks
up
for
out
having
here,
me on
guys.
too, man. Nice meeting you guys too, man.